Hello, you've just seen me try a kata. I'm not very good at those. I'm much better at the coding variant and the data miner one. In fact, I've got an Empower kata waiting just for you.
Hello and welcome to Bringing the Thunder. Here we are again. We've had a few successful first episodes. I mean, over 40 people have already contributed and done the exercises, and they have earned a lot of DevOps points, which means they get to buy amazing merch like this. It's glorious. Don't worry, I won't be using this for the entire session. I think. But, okay, that aside, that means if you keep playing along and doing these katas with us, you can get these DevOps points and you can get some first-hand experience on a lot of things that you might not be aware of, how they work. And in my case, especially, we're going to be talking about low-code apps. Now, I have with me Sebastian, or most people here, I think, call him Seba.
Yeah, that's right.
Should I use that? That's awkward.
It's all fine.
Oh, it's all fine. Okay. Seba, tell me a little bit, who are you and what do you do in Skyline?
Yeah, so I'm Sebastian Dumoulin. I'm the product owner of a team that is responsible on everything that is visually related to frameworks. So we're looking at dashboards, low-code apps, visual overview, and also responsible for GUI, which is a data engine.
Right. So not only UI, also some ingestion as well of data and stuff. Just
stuff like that.
The whole thing in fact. Yeah. Well, low-code apps, that's the topic of today. Yes. You've got a nice exercise, maybe two, prepared for us that everyone can follow along with.
Yes, that's right.
Just so you're aware, I'm a real noob when it comes to this method.
That's fine.
I'm mostly, high code. I've mostly been infrastructure as code. So you're like the other side of our two-pronged attack.
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Providing valuable things to our users. So low-code apps.
Yeah. So what is low-code apps and why do we need it? So we often find ourselves that data miner is that's really capable platform, but we have many users that want to do one thing and want to do that one thing very well.
Yes.
But we have our UIs, which can become quite overwhelming because we have all of these capabilities, but sometimes we just want to narrow down the scope to one single use case. And this is especially where low-code apps comes into play.
Something simple.
Quick. We make it very tailored to some users and a specific use case.
Okay.
So
I'm interested.
Let's have a look on how you can get started with a low-code app and how it all works.
The basics.
The basics.
For the real beginners.
Yeah, just let's create something, and you'll see how quick and easy it is to create something. So we really want to emphasize on the usability and the quickness in the way that you can create these kinds of apps.
Great.
So step one is you go to your data miner homepage, which should look something like this.
Okay.
At the top, you have your data miner apps, which come out of the box, depending on the licensing. And at the bottom, you have create a new app.
All right.
So we just click that create a new app, and it'll show you what we call the app editor, which allows you to configure the application.
Okay.
So you see in this app editor, it gives me some information. We picked a color and an icon just for you.
Great, already pre-picked.
New application. I don't like that name. So
it is a bit generic.
It's a bit generic. So for this use case, we'll create an IP address management app, also called IPAM.
Okay.
So let's call this one IPAM.
IPAM.
Okay. Right. And then we see that something is blinking at the top left-hand side.
Yes, it's drawing my attention.
Yeah. So, and if you hover over that, it says change app style.
Okay.
So I click that, and it gives me some other information.
That's a nice editor.
Yeah. And it says, okay, this is your current theme, and here you can change the icon and the style.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm not quite happy with this honeycomb, so let me change that to something more applicable to IP addresses.
Yes.
So let me search perhaps for an icon on using network.
All right. I like the tower.
Like the tower, we can pick the tower.
Nice, yes.
And then the most important and nice thing to do is pick a color.
Okay.
Which is not easy. Finding a good color is hard.
Okay, spoken as a true UI expert.
Yeah. So Today, I'm kind of feeling like a bit bluish, not quite like this. Yeah, something.
We skip forward 3 hours. We've picked the color. No.
I think I'm quite satisfied with this one.
Nice.
Okay. And we can click the icon at the top left-hand side again to go out of this editor.
Apply,
yeah. So now we have a title, we have an icon, we have a color. And the UI says, okay, that's nice, but yeah, you don't have any pages in your app. So
it's drawing my attention again.
Create page, we click that, and we get an editor of a page. So here we can configure what is on the page, what is the name of the page, and all of that.
It's interesting because it's like you've built a tutorial while actually creating something. So with the flashing, it draws your attention. It's like, here's what you probably want to do next.
Yes, exactly. And especially the first time, we give you a lot of hints. The second application that you create, we reduce the amounts of hints. So it's
great,
tailored to the user. So we have a page. We want to give this a name. So let me call this overview. And now another thing is blinking, which is the pencil icon. Okay, so I gave it a name. Now I want to put some content onto that page. So I press edit page. And then, let me collapse the left-hand side. We come to a UI that should seem familiar. Why? It's because basically everything that you see right here is also what you see when creating a dashboard, right?
Yeah,
so we reuse the powerful components that we have from dashboards, and I think users will find this very easy as well. So here on the left-hand side, we have our visuals, and on the right-hand side, we have our data. So we can get started by adding a visual to it. To keep it easy, let's add a clock to it. Very simple.
A nice basic analog.
A very basic visual. Now, before we go further, I want to draw your attention to the home page. The home page where we created this new app. If I hit a refresh, this app is not here.
Yeah,
why?
Where is it?
Why? It's because I created something, and while you create something, it is still in draft. It's not published.
Okay.
But if you want to see apps that are in draft, there is a small setting available that says show draft applications.
Secret hidden tips.
It's a bit hidden, and if you enable that, you see that we already have our EPAM app
draft, yes,
but still in draft, but
with my tower.
With your tower. Okay, it's in drafts. Imagine that I'm already happy with this.
Yes.
Then on the top right hand side, we have an icon that says publish.
Yeah, publish. Yeah.
So I hit that. Almost there. Tell us what your app is about.
Just a small description.
Something about IPs. And we hit publish. And when we now refresh the page, we see that our app is available. And this is now available to everyone. So we created an app in a few minutes, and now it's already available to everybody in the system.
Well, and does this work like if I would take my phone and go to that page with my
you'll
mobile
see the
phone?
app as well, and indeed these apps are responsive, so all of that works out of the box.
Also works on any phone.
Any phone, any tablet.
Okay.
That's the power of a web browser, of course.
Yes. Great.
Okay, so now we have our app. Of course, if I now click it, I see we only have that clock. Let's enhance it a bit.
Doesn't have much to do with IPs.
Not yet. So let's tweak this a bit. So instead of having this clock, we want to, for instance, show some IPs that we monitor with data miners. So on the user icon, we can now click and go to edit, which brings us back to the familiar editor that we had previously. And we go to editing once again. Now, perhaps I want to change this clock. Let's change it to a digital one. A big change in our app.
Yes.
We can resize it a bit, but let's add some IP addresses. For everybody that's doing this exercise, we've created something on the catalog as well, and you can use this data. This is some mocked data. It does not give any load on the system. It just makes sure that you have some data available on your system. So something
everyone can now as well do, just to have something as for data generation. And where is it actually? It's dummy data. It's not.
It's real. Dummy data. It's actually a GQI data source.
Okay.
Which is mocking some data.
Okay. For a separate episode.
Yes, exactly. So I can search for EPAM, and you'll see that we find this automation scripts and we hit that.
So EPAM GQI dummy data sources.
Exactly.
Everyone has access normally?
Everybody has access to this. This is publicly available. And we now hit deploy. I have all of my systems on here.
You are a developer.
I'm a developer. So I hit Sebastian, I hit deploy. And
so you will need a cloud connected agent
yes,
to grab that, or do you need it as well for the low-code apps?
No, low-code apps work without cloud connection.
As well, yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so if there's someone following along up to this point and you don't have a cloud connected agent yet, you can either make it cloud connected, or I guess you can use any other data
You can basically
source.
use any other data source. Now this is for IPs that we create the app.
Okay.
For instance, it could be elements, it could be alarms, it could be anything.
Right,
Basically.
so don't worry if you're following along and you still want to end up with a screenshot and then sending that in for
sure.
points. It doesn't matter if you're not using this one. It's more about the app and the UI and
Exactly,
the visuals.
exactly.
Okay, great. So we've deployed it.
Yeah. So if we now go to GQI, let me quickly create a query that is fetching this data. I can say, give me some data, and we see our IP addresses in here.
Yes.
So I take this, I drag it onto my dashboard or on my page of my app, very similar to what we have in dashboards.
And now I need to pick a visualization to show it.
Now we have data. Yeah, how do you want to visualize this data? But let's stick with the table for now, and you'll see that my IPs are popping up right here. So now we have some data. So we've created a new increment of our app. First we started with that clock. Now we changed the clock to a digital one, and now we have some data. So now we can publish again.
So, and you can also grab data from any source in DataMine, like elements as well. Because
Yeah.
now you're using this GQI ingestion.
It's similar like dashboards. You can actually include any data from your system, or with GQI, fetch data even from databases or from REST API endpoints. So it doesn't really matter.
Well, what's the, might be a silly question, but like what's the benefit on using a low-code app instead of just a dashboard?
Yeah, so dashboards and low-code apps are indeed similar, but you could see low-code apps as dashboards on steroids.
On steroids.
Because you can create multiple pages, which are then multiple dashboards. You can create panels, you can have a header bar, you can have side panels and all of that. So it's basically more capabilities of a low-code app. So typically, if we're looking at a dashboard that is one page, that's good.
But
if you want to have multiple pages that work together, then we're mainly looking at low-code apps.
Okay, so as soon as you get more than just one small visualization step, you'd start to consider like, okay, low-code apps might be better.
Exactly.
Where can you easily, maybe not, maybe that's a new feature, I suppose, but can you easily go from a single dashboard and then use that as the beginning of your...
Yeah, that's something that we've heard in the past as well. We have it on our backlog, but we don't have that yet.
Classic
answer.
Good. No?
Okay. So we made some changes again, and now I want to publish them again, right? So now we have our app, and it shows you, the thing that we configured, right?
So digital clock.
This is now a new increment of our apps, and it's really as easy as that to get started with apps. You could make some changes to it, you publish it, you evaluate, does it look nice, and now everybody can start contributing. Now, the nice thing about apps as well is that you have some version history. So if you go to the user icon on the top right-hand side, you have versions. If you click that, you see, okay, we are now looking at the latest published version, but perhaps you're interested, how was this initial version? And then you can click it, and then you see, okay, it was like this, how I configured
so you
it.
can actually, how far back is that? Is it configurable? Or?
It's configurable, it's 15 versions at this moment.
Okay.
15 versions, and that's, I think, a hard-coded limit for now. We're evaluating it if we want to keep it at that.
Well, the thing, this is called low-code app. I haven't actually seen code.
No.
Where's the code part in the low-code?
Yeah,
I'm speaking as a
we really try to reduce the amount of code required because we
as
want
much UI
everybody
as it
to be able to create apps. And the coding part is typically either in, you want to use some custom HTML components, you want to implement a GQI data source, as I did here as well.
Right. So it's actually more leaning to no-code app.
Yes.
Than low-code app.
Yes, we really want to try to get everyone started without any coding, and then optionally opt in to do some coding.
Yes, great.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to show you one last thing.
Okay.
Is I said that apps are tailored to a user group, but now this app is available for everyone. So let me grab another account. So this is
anyone who has any sort of connection to that agent.
everybody that has the security access to low-code apps can see this app now.
Okay.
So in my initial window, I was logged in as a certain user, and my incognito window is me, my personal account. If I refresh this, I see that I first need to log in again. And then I see my EPAM app being available. But I want to narrow down the scope to only certain people having access to this app.
Yes.
And I can do so by going to my app, going to the settings, and then say, okay, who is allowed to view this app?
So
and you can put specific users in here, you can put user groups in here, and you can also configure who is allowed to edit the app. So you have some fine-grained
so
security
all of
on
those
this.
are the configured groups and users of your agents.
Indeed,
in the
indeed.
system.
So this is a user which is called Rick. So let me give Rick access to view this. And if I put Rick in here, only Rick has access to this.
Okay, so if no one is in there, it
Everybody?
defaults to everyone. As soon as you put one person in, it's just
So
that guy. Okay.
I refresh my homepage. I still see it because I'm Rick. On my other window, I refresh it and it's gone.
Great. Okay.
And this is basically the last thing that I want to show you. The exercise is basically create an app, an EPAM app,
Okay.
give it some styling, and give it some content, try to get some data on there, grab some screenshots and send that to us.
Indeed. Well, let's say if you've got this screen, well, not the recording one, but if you've made the exercise and you've gotten to this point, feel free to take a screenshot and feel free to check in the description of the video where you can send it to or upload it. And then we will definitely make sure you get some points for that. And, well, we'll be very interested as well if you make some different changes, if you play around with some styles. I think that's also fine.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe you don't want the digital clock. Maybe you prefer the analog one. I don't know.
Go crazy.
Go crazy with your clocks. Okay. This is great. So I'm guessing that this is what you prepared for us. So
Yes, that's basically the initial case.
Well,
We can really go wild, but I want to narrow down the scope
well,
initially.
yeah, start small is always good. And I hadn't actually played around with it. So seeing it like this for the first time was personally quite interesting. I really like the flashing tutorial while you do it, because everyone hates regular tutorials. I also like choosing the icon. It feels like a character creation.
You have so much power.
It's like a character creator in a game. Like, who am I going to be? But okay, we were the tower.
Indeed,
Great.
today we were the tower.
Sebastian, or Sebaya, thank you very much for making some time and showing that to me.
My
and
pleasure.
to everyone out there as well. Sure. Everyone, thank you for following along, and I guess I'll catch you on the next one.